Thank you for your time. It's an honor to be here with you.
My pleasure.
Let's start with like your first memories of football, because mine, I'll tell you, I was 7 or 8 years old, and the first time I went to stadium, it was game against Armenia, and Georgia won 7-0. So it was,
It's a good memory.
Yeah, really good one. The most impressive one of the first ones.
Do you want to laugh?
Yeah, sure.
My first memory. I was born. The day I was born, my father had a match, and him and the whole team, they came to see me when I was born. Okay. That was when football came into my life.
So
they won. If you ask me my first memory, I cannot answer because there are so many. I grew up in football. My father was a player. I grew up in football. I have memories of me as a young kid in a dressing room, seated on a bench in a corner of a dressing room at the halftime of a match, listening to the coach speaking to the players. I still have it on my senses. The smell of the old-fashioned cream that players used to have, massage. I still have on my senses the noise of the metal studs coming into the dressing room before a match, after a match, at half time.
Amazing.
I'm full of senses, full of memories of football.
Great. You know, we went to Buenos Aires. We're sponsors of Argentina national team, and we met Cambiaso there, and he was saying that like Argentinian kids are born with the Argentina jersey, and like it's kind of same with you. You're kind of born with the football ball, right?
Yeah, but Argentina is. I've been in Argentina once, not to play. Never played in Argentina, but I've been there many years ago, in Rosario. I watched a match between Rosario and Atlético Mineiro in one of the South American Cups, not the Libertadores, the other one. And of course, I remember an incredible atmosphere, huge passion. Yeah. And one of the things I would like to do, but I never had the chance to do, would be to be in Buenos Aires in one of the big matches, right. If possible, to be in Diego Stadium where Diego made history. It was something that one day I would like to do.
Amazing. You've had many Argentine players in your team, right? Especially in Inter and then in Real, Di Maria, right? What's your, how would you describe Argentinian football? Because for us it's special because we're the sponsors of Argentina national team. I'm sure you've had experiences with many great players from different countries, right? But
they are all different. I cannot say there is a type of Argentinian player because, for example, you cannot compare the creation, this creative talent of Di Maria with, for example, Zanetti, physicality, Zanetti, tactical. You cannot compare. But one thing I would say that belongs to all of them is that they are competitive. You know, they are guys that they were born to compete. They take it seriously. They mix the football talent also with the right mentality, the right approach, the right aggression. They have this feeling of football is to enjoy, but feeling is also a serious stuff. And some other countries, some other cultures, some other approaches, it looks like football is just fun. It's not just fun. It's fun, but it's a serious thing. We have to win matches because it's to win matches that we are paid for.
So we're in London now, and the whole city is basically in football atmosphere is everywhere. What does Champions League mean for you and this final? Well, what's the significance of it?
You know, there are two competitions in the world. The World Cup for the national teams and the Champions League for football clubs. So it's the biggest competition, it's the biggest event, it's the the El Dorado that everybody wants to reach. And in the end, is the last match of the season is when the season ends. Then national teams, Euros, America Cup, but this is the last match of the season, is the one that everybody wants to play, is the one that everybody wants to win, is the one that not everybody can play and not everybody can win, but is the biggest event. And this one is in a cathedral, because Wembley is a cathedral of football, in a country that breeds football, of course, with the biggest club in the world that is favorite, of course, but a club to be respected also, Borussia Dortmund, because it's a great example of a club that tries always to be sustainable, always try to do the things in the right way, investing the right way, with great people behind the club. So, big match, white against yellow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, we all know your titles and achievements, but are there any defining moments in your career or like big milestones that are not that visible just right away, or are very special and important for you?
To name one is difficult. I think my first Champions League, I was young. It was a Portuguese club. It's not normal a Portuguese club to do it. It was after that I come to England. I think that Champions League was quite critical. Then when, by maybe a selfish point of view, but was something that stayed with me, the first FIFA award for the best coach in the world was in 2010, and I got it. So to be the first coach to get the FIFA World Award for a coach was something that, by the personal point of view, made me breathe deep, think in 1 second everything that took me to that place. And then most recently, I was in Roma. I played my 1,000 match as a professional coach.
Congratulations.
And when I played the 1,000 match, first of all, I was scared about losing, because I didn't want to have on my mind forever
memory, right?
1,000 match, and I lost. We were lucky to win minute 94. But that 1,000 made me think 1,000 multiplied by 90, and in some cases more than 90, how many minutes I've been on a touchline, and that one made me realize how time fly, but at the same time how much I enjoyed in these years.
Amazing. Every team, basically what we'll see now, that every team after Porto you go to, it's like they become favorites right away, and the atmosphere at the team is amazing. And what's the power that kind of gives you that, and how do you do that, basically?
Depends. When the expectation is big, but the potential is big, you accept, you are happy to accept, you embrace, and you say, okay, let's go together. This is big potential, big expectation, come on, let's go. The problem is when you don't have that potential and the expectation is still high. That is what I used to say is not fair, but at the same time is also consequence of I've been lucky to win so many times that people think I have to do all the time, but sometimes it's not fair. In Roma we won Conference League, we lost Europa League final, and people think that we should win every match, not because of potential, but maybe because I've been there. So that's more hard.
Yeah, definitely. I think the expectations are always high when you're there. And you always made really bold moves in your career, and maybe we can recall a number of them, but what do you consider your boldest move, like really, really bold one out of those, actually?
I don't know.
That you were a bit like shaking or nervous?
Shaking, nervous, I wouldn't say many, because in football you don't have time to be shaking or to be nervous. When you have to make decisions, you make decisions. Sometimes you have to take risks. Sometimes, especially when you are inexperienced, you are young, you can do things that in the end you say, wow, I did that and I shouldn't. And then time doesn't go back, so when you feel that you made a mistake, you cannot go and do it again. But I always think that when you leave out a player with a big status to open the door for somebody young, for somebody that has a lot to prove, I think you gamble not just your credibility, but I think you also gamble the stability, because big players, important players, big status, you know, they can help or they can disturb the balance of a team. And I did many times. I played Varane in a Champions League match with 18-year-old. I left Sergio Ramos out in a big match against Manchester City. I left Paul Pogba out to play young Scott McTominay, also with 18-year-old. I left Iker Casillas out to play Antonio Adan, also in a big match. So when you do these kind of things, you have to be brave, and you need the young guy for not to shake. You need the young guy to give you an answer. So, for example, in the case of Varane then became for 10 years
it was
the
amazing.
best centre back in Europe. So you need this. But when you make these movements, if you make and sometimes you make it wrong, sometimes goes wrong. But when you have to make in an honest way. So if things go wrong, you don't have a bad feeling. If things go wrong, you say, okay, didn't go well, but I did it thinking of in a good way.
Yeah, interesting. And you know, every player I talked with who played for you, they say that you were their favorite coach, and the ones that I haven't played for you, they say that they would love to play with you. And I've seen that you had like many very different individuals with different work ethics, different level of talent, and so on and so forth. And how do you manage to basically have those like strong relationships with all of them and convey your message and philosophy and everything?
Unfortunately, it's not 100% that they love to work with me, because, as you know, and your brother knows, you know, football players, they want to play all the time, and when they don't play, normally they don't love the coach. What I always try to do is to try to make these players understand that they are useful, that they are important, that the guy that comes in minute 85 and play 5+ minutes, he has a role. He can be decisive in a match. So try to make them all be loved and respected is something very important. And then it's for them to accept what I used to call the basic principles, but principles that apply to everybody. Everybody is the same. You know, the players are different. When in the end of the month one gets 10,000 and another one gets 100,000 and another one gets 1 million. That's where they are different. They are different when in front of the world they perform in a different way. One do things that another one is not capable to do. This is where they are different. But in the dressing room they have to be all the same. So the time scales is for everybody, the respect is for everybody, the commitment and the concentration for the meetings, for training sessions. There are basic principles. When the players
and no exceptions for anyone.
And no exceptions for anyone. When the players they understand that, life is easy. Great.
We see big names, right, in the history of football. There's Ferguson, Cruyff. Who would you like say for you is a special one, and besides you, of course, who does stand out for you?
You know, I think special ones are the ones that have a career and not a stint of 3 or 4 years where they do something and then they disappear and then nobody knows where they are. For me, also as a player, the players, they have the situation of the injuries and sometimes can be an incredible player that for a big injury the career drops. I think for us as coaches, a career is a career. A career is not 2 or 3 years or 4 years, some guy that occasionally did something. So I look to careers. I look to Sir Alex, I look to Jupp Heynckes, I look to Marcelo Lippi, to Fabio Capello, to Claudio Ranieri. I look to people that was in football for many, many years and, quiet in a regular way, they manage to get results. This is the people that I respect the most.
You've achieved, I would say for everyone, that's the dream, what you've achieved, right? But you never stop and you always look forward. What would you say is kind of a next goal or a big goal, or I wouldn't call it dream because I'm sure you can achieve everything, whatever you set your eyes at. But what's your next big thing for you? What would be?
The big thing is to win the Turkish league. It's a club that doesn't win for many, many years. It's a club with so many supporters, millions and millions of supporters, not just in the country, but even outside the country. And I work for them. So more than my dream is their dream, is the club's dream. So my job is to try to help them to reach the dream, and then their dream becomes my dream.
Great. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure.